Okay, so we do have sound now. Hurrah! It's just the having a few struggles here. Okay, I'm just going to turn off the head tracking for a moment so I can sort out the live stream. Bear with me. Hello! Okay, so we have Sebastian and Jacob watching so far. So I'm going to work through the checklist for the DC3. So if you bear with me for a minute or two. It's a long time since I've done this. So left overhead panel, ground power to on. That's there. We'll try and do this with head tracking, see how difficult it's going to be. Cockpit right side, cowl flaps, rotate both cylinders clockwise to open. So that's these things. So how do we rotate them? I can't remember how to do this. Oh, you just click them. Okay. Left overhead panel, lights as required, position to on. Sorry, I've missed something here already. No, I haven't, sorry, no, it's fine. Center pedestal, left fuel selector to left main. So that's down here. And then I'm presuming right fuel selector to right main, which will do that. Yeah, I've got that problem that you often get with the Tobii where it slowly drifts away from where your face is. I think it probably depends on your haircut. Propeller levers to full forward, the ones with P on the stalks. So that's these ones. So I'm just going to do that again. So that's interesting, isn't it? Because if I try to go too far back in the cockpit, I almost need to sit further away from the desk on purpose to get a viewing angle around the cockpit. But if you've actually seen a real DC3 cockpit, they're incredibly cramped. You are almost stood up against the glass. Throttle levers cracked open. Parking brake off. We don't need to do a pushback, so that's fine. Start engines, overhead panel, master ignition pushed in. So this is where I have to try and remember how this works. That's the master ignition, isn't it? So it says pull off, push in. Yep. Energize to center. I can't remember any of this. Here we go. So I've got a note here. Energize to center, it's a bug. So it looks like they've fixed that, so I need to maybe correct my notes. Booster pumps to on. So I've written in my notes, it's optional though it's directed in the manual. So energize to right, then wait for a few seconds. So this will be spinning up the flywheel. Then mesh to on, right magnetos to both. Can't see it from here, can we? And that did absolutely nothing. Oh, I forgot the primer. So I remember when I did this ages and ages ago, so for the purposes of today's video I'm going to cheat and use the automated startup, but I remember this was an absolute so-and-so to get right, and you had to do several things in the right order very quickly. So I'm going to go and put the primer on now, and I'm going to go and do this. So we're going to mesh right. I'm going to leave the primer on, and I'm going to leave the magnetos on both. And we have hacked starting the engine. So we've not done it as per the book, but we've made it work. We probably would damage the engine in the real thing if we did that. So we'll energize left, and we will put the magnetos to both. Interesting that the primer is doing right and left. So then we mesh. So it should kick the other way any moment. Or not. It's thinking about it. Goes. How bizarre was that? Hey, we're going to turn the booster pumps off. We can turn the mesh to off. Energize. Has that fallen into the middle? Let's have a look. It is now. So we can now taxi essentially. So underneath the console there's the ensure the TW lever is pulled out, so the taxi wheel, the taxi. So if we look under here, yeah, I think what I'd have to do is press, I'm going to remove this, I'm going to press remove head tracking, press Control 4. And it says here about ensuring the TW lever is pulled out. So that's this green one. If it's pulled out, it means the tail wheel can turn. So back in the cockpit, we've got the battery is on. Radios to on. So we can turn the ground power off, I presume. So to turn the radios on, click the volume ID on the top left comm radio. So they're already on now. So how did they come on? That's changed, hasn't it? They didn't used to be on by default. Interesting. So booster pumps to on. I guess, yeah, they want the booster pumps back on for takeoff. So we'll put them back on for the moment. Set flaps. Okay, so we're going to taxi. We don't need the booster pumps until we actually take off. So we're going to remove the wheel brakes, parking brakes I should say. I'm just going to change the volume so I'm hearing it in my speakers, sorry, in my headphones. Right, and then I should be able to have a look at the live stream comments now. Probably everyone's screaming at me about operating the airplane correctly. So the weird channel is saying, is this the default one or one you pay $1 million for? This is the free DC3 that comes with Flight Simulator. I don't think any of the aeroplanes cost $1 million. Some of them cost 20 or 30. Going to go and backtrack and give ourselves some runway for takeoff. We won't need any flaps. Can we turn this before we hit the fence? Yeah, we're fine. Going in a straight line. And we're up. Gear up. We just did that without the booster pumps, so we don't need them at all. I don't think it's actually simulated that accurately. Let's go and have a little look at the map. Did we put all the lights on that we needed? We've got the... I'm going to go and put the pitot heat on, just in case. Position lights are on. Okay, so just coming up through 1,000 feet above sea level. 100 knots. Outside. So we need to get the cowl flaps in before we do anything else. I presume that's them. Just going to correct my viewpoint because it's being a so-and-so. No, that's not them. This is what you get. Oh, here we go. They're over here. Right, I'm just trimming us out. This is being a real so-and-so. That's better. No, it isn't. It's very sensitive to how far away you are. Okay, that's a lot better. So we're generally going to be heading off 270 degrees towards Rotorua to begin with. But before we do that, I need to go and sort the cowl flaps out. What I'm going to do, just to make sure I don't flail around blindly, it's so long since I've flown this, I'm going to go and turn on the tooltips. It's the carb heat. That's the superchargers. Aha! That was them. Of course it was. That's better. So we want 270 degrees. How are we doing for airspeed? Pretty good. By the engine. Manifold pressure's fine, RPM is high. on the cold side on the manifold pressure though, so I'm going to push it forward a bit into the green. Sorry, I'm just concentrating on what's going on inside the cockpit to see if it's behaving itself. Just watching the dials. So it is tracking 217 in, which is good. So, Mattis Albrecht, England, never popped out, but been watching for videos for a while. One of my favourite channels. Thanks for all the great content. Oh, you're welcome. So, Jacob says, do you have a real license? No, I don't. I'm just an enthusiast, just like everybody else flying flight sim. I'm just a few pages ahead in the book, maybe, than some of the others. And I obviously share a lot more than others. So Curious is saying it's easy for me to recall the location of various things, but then I do not fly anywhere near the number of different aircraft you do. Yeah, it's a problem. And again, I got in this blind today. Didn't do any prep, just got in and tried to remember. It's a bit like, I remember Hugh Laurie was being interviewed about the guy that plays House, the doctor on the TV, and they were saying, you know, it's very impressive that you can recall all these medical procedures when you're leading them in the operating theatre. I said, how do you do that? And he said, well, I only know them for the couple of hours we're filming. He said, if you were to ask me them, you know, later that night, it's gone. And it's the same with me with these aeroplanes. I know them in the few hours when I've been practicing and playing around with them, but then it's gone. Apart from the big jets, actually, because I've flown things like the 737 so often that I can fault find quite easily in it. This is very cool, isn't it? Does the hatch open at the top? Well, probably not in the air, but I've never really looked around at it too much. There's some of the other stuff in here. So if we slide ourselves across the cockpit, it's quite cool, isn't it? It's impressive, sorry, that they've even modelled the latches and stuff on the harnesses. It's very clever. Okay, let's get back into my seat. What is the red light for? Wheels up or down, unlocked, or valve not in neutral. So does that mean we don't have to keep retracting the wheels? Is there an undercarriage lever that I have not set back to neutral somewhere? Interesting, isn't it? That we've got a light on saying that the wheels up or down and unlocked or valve not in neutral. The wheels, they're not locked, it's basically saying. But I can't see that there's a control for that. I'm just going to turn the head tracking off for a moment. Presumably the gear latch is for emergency use. So I'm going to take no notice of that light. Darren says, videos are up there with the best. Thank you very much. Obviously I'm not as knowledgeable as the professional pilots out there, but I think I maybe explained some of the lower level stuff that they skip over. They presume an awful lot, usually. Which I don't. Something I've been looking at maybe doing a video about is some of the real world tools you can actually integrate with Flight Sim, so you can use a real world flight tracking application. There's one called Skydemon that is popular in the UK and Europe, and you can plug it into Flight Sim, so it's the same, it's kind of like Navigraph but a real world version of it. So it's obviously a little bit more expensive than Navigraph. But I thought I might go and, you can get a free trial of it. I thought I might go and get the free trial and show it, to show what the real pilots use. I thought that might be quite an interesting one to play with. Shall we look at the map? So we're pretty much on track. Rotorua we're heading towards. That's not bad actually, is it? Considering we're just doing this, we're eyeballing it. Pretty much on the track. Some weather over there. I think we'll be trying to avoid cloud today, but I don't think we're going to be able to avoid it just through this little bit here. Should we see if we can pick up Rotorua Atis? One two 2.8. Okay. Am I being dim? Oh, you have to click the volume knob. That's really intuitive, isn't it? So when we get a bit closer, hopefully, has it got a volume knob? Does it actually operate? No, it's just a switch, isn't it? That's a shame. So we'll either hear it or we won't, I guess. I guess we could climb above the cloud, couldn't we? Almost above it. How are we doing for speed? 160 miles an hour. We are at 6,500 feet and slowly climbing. So if we just carry on this, we'll end up above the cloud anyway. We're doing fine. No matter where I try to go in the cockpit, we're not going to see much, are we? So we'll just concentrate on staying above the cloud for a while. At least we can see the moon, eh? And we do have the wonders of LittleNavMap. We can open Navigraph as well. And I'll have to unload that and zoom into here, put this on VFR. We don't have a route at the moment, so we can go to flight plan in LittleNavMap, copy it to the clipboard, go to the pencil in a new flight in Navigraph and paste that in. And it kind of knows the basic route we're following now. It's interesting, until you get head tracking you don't realise just how well modelled this stuff is. It's absolutely crazy. Okay, we've cleared that bank of cloud, thankfully. So this is there's a little river down here. Can we get the name of it? Katani River. heading towards Rotorua. So I'm going to start trimming us down a little bit. Interesting, isn't it? It won't do it. So if we turn this completely off, trim us down, so say come down at 500. If I turn this back on now, will it hold the descent rate? Pull the throttle back. Yeah, it seems to be doing it. Look, it's holding it. So you just have to modulate. They're saying that. Look at this. It's gone absolutely balmy. Oh, of course, because we're not holding direction anymore. Okay. When we engaged this, it didn't engage heading hold. And that was all it took for the aeroplane to just start to roll and fall over. It's okay, it will regain its senses in a moment. So it's sod's law, we're going to aim straight into this cloud bank, isn't it? Oh, maybe not, maybe we're going to avoid it, just come to this side. Someone's saying there's a distinctive odour over Rotorua. Is it a cattle or sheep farming area then? I'm going to turn the labels back off the tooltips because they're annoying. From outside. It is a very good looking aeroplane, isn't it? Sulphur, of course, because just down the coast you've got the Taupo. I'm not even going to attempt to mangle some of the place names. Yeah, you can see it over there, look. If you look the other way, you can probably see it from here, can't we? In the hills, also in the distance. Maybe not, it's in that cloud, isn't it? We could play games with the time without affecting the weather too much. Make it look pretty. So if we went for a few hours earlier than it is. Or go for the afternoon. Sun directly in front of us. That looks quite cool, doesn't it? You can see the mountain over there. Okay, so we got about 20 miles out from Rotorua Airport. While we're flying along, shall we go and open up Volanta as well? So we took off from, where did we take off from? Gisborne, NZGS. And we're heading eventually towards North Shore, NZNE. And we'll put a text route which will be direct. And it won't draw it until we've actually done it, I don't think. Unless we go and do it in here. Edit route, add a flight plan, enter text route. I don't think it understands if you do that. So NZGS, NZNE. Save route. No, it still doesn't do it. Not concerned. So we'll move that out of the way. And we'll have a look at that when we finish. See the body of water through the hill, can't you? Is that Lake Tarawera? Is that how you pronounce it? Tarawera. So yeah, we've gone a bit over the top with the sun. I'm going to lift it slightly in the sky. Oh, the Truman Show powers we have. should be coming over the lake. Let's go and turn the autopilot off. Or gyropilot, I should say. Just doing a gentle turn in towards the lake. Be interesting to have a look actually and see what detail is in Navigraph on the VFR map. It isn't as good as, although this is using Google, so it's not really a fair comparison, is it? This is much more like your for-flight kind of vector view. You can see the airfield over here on the edge of the water. So speed is falling off. On the airspeed. and double check the wind. We never did get the we're the wrong end of the runway, so we are going to do a circuit. We never did get the 80s, did we? I was half expecting it to burst into life while we were en route. So what we're going to do is just fly up and do a left circuit in. So doing 120 miles an hour and descending slowly towards Rotorua. You see the runway alongside the water. So Danny's saying, hi, how are you? I'm doing well, thank you. I'm very tired. It may be that we don't go any further this evening and we continue this tomorrow at some point, because I am absolutely dog tired. And we'll carry on up to Aukland maybe tomorrow night. Okay, there goes the wheels. The flaps you can hear extending. Supposed to have the cowl flaps open and we haven't opened them, but I haven't got time now unless I go around to go and open them. Where did the little guy go? Has he gone for his tea break? Got tired of holding the wands up in the air. The Dakota doesn't have air brakes. The landing technique I just used, and I didn't do a very good job of it because I didn't practice it. I did a powered landing. The mistake a lot of people make with this aeroplane is to try and land it in the simulator at idle and to stall it onto the runway. I spoke to 2 real DC3 pilots who actually, they emailed me privately behind the channel when it first came out, and I did the first few videos with it, and they advised me how to land it. And yeah, in the real thing, given a long enough runway, they always did powered landings, which means you then have thrust over the tail surfaces, which meant you could keep it in a straight line easily. But the real thing was as difficult, if not more difficult, than the simulator with trying to do ground loops. So the pilot had to be absolutely on their game with rudder, power, differential braking, the whole bit, to keep it in a straight line, because the real thing tried to swap ends as well. So yeah, this is Rotorua. I'm going to leave it here for this evening because I am absolutely shattered, and I'll hopefully see you tomorrow evening, and we'll take off from Rotorua and carry on up to Auckland. Okay, we'll go up via the Coromandel Peninsula, which I was hoping to, come up through the hills across the bay from Auckland and work our way across over the islands in the middle of the bay. Should be good fun. Okay, so that's tonight's flight done, and I'll see you again soon.